process and consider applications for the establishment, ownership, and operation of radio and television stations, including Roman figure 1, cable television services, direct satellite broadcast, direct to home, IPTV, radio and digital terrestrial television. I do want to add here, Mr. Chairman, sir, members of the House specifically, that internet broadcasting and all online media should be included in this, because we have responsibilities to monitor content.
Including Twitter.
Including Twitter. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir, if I can move quickly to the proposed section 9.
Section
9, sir. The new section 9, sir. It talks about, it talks about classification of licenses. Mr. Chairman, here, the proposed amendment says that the Commission shall, on such terms and conditions as may in any case determine, issue an applicant with any of the following categories of licenses. A, broadcast service license, which includes television, radio, and mobile broadcasting license, with the authority to produce contents. And B, signal distribution license, with the authority to provide the transmission platform for broadcasters. And C, any other license as may be determined by the Commission. It goes further to say signal distribution license granted after the commencement of the Act shall be first granted to the Nigerian Television Authority, being the existing national information carrier, existing digital terrestrial operators who have the infrastructure for digital distribution, and any other two private digital distributors. With due respect, Mr. Chairman and Member of the House, this section deals with classification of licenses. It cannot delve into who shall be given licenses. The power to give licenses is regulated by the law, by the codes, and by the various regulations. But if a law a priori tells us who should be granted licenses, then it's not classification. There are very exhaustive and comprehensive protocol as to what you can do to get, what you need to do to get a license.
So you are recommending?
I'm recommending, sir, that we do not make specific, sir.
Should delete?
Yes, you don't make specific those that, sir, I agree with the classification, sir. But even those who enjoy it now, the government has a right to revoke them if they. Yeah. Yes, so I would say, I would please very respectfully say that I would delete the section that talks about NTA, existing digital territorial operators, or any other tools. Mr. Chairman, sir, honorable members, we have a problem with this, because this seems not to be in line with the thinking of the executive, that very soon the NBC would exit the number of parastatals that whose salaries are paid by the federal government. In other words, very soon, NBC will need to be paying its own salaries, and will have to pay for all its overheads and all its operations. So if that is the way the executive is thinking, then it will be a drawback. If we now pay everything into the treasury single account, it means then that the government then will have to pay our salaries and pay all our needs. And this would defeat the objective of the federal government, that certain parastatals should contribute more to the revenue of government. So if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I think I need to reconcile this motion with the Honorable Minister of Finance before we can proceed on this matter. But otherwise, we'll have no problem. Because right now, sir, the practice is that 30% of whatever we generate, we retain. And then 70% is paid to the central bank. But with the 2020, I think it's with the 2020, I don't know whether it's midterm or whatever, we've been given notice that probably as from next year, we'll need to be self-sufficient. And we are no longer to be, we won't enjoy the privilege of our salaries being paid by government. We have to fend for ourselves.
The gaps that we have recognized are actually gaps having to do with the independence of the regulator in this act. All over the world, the international standard is that the broadcasting regulator should stand as an independent entity, recognized in law as such, able to perform all the functions of a regulator. And that is not happening in Nigeria, and this law has not made such provisions. I'll quickly go into the issues that go with independence, the recommendations. Recommendation 1, sir. Section 21B should provide for the Commission the power to approve licenses without reference to other government organs, while Section 21C should be removed. 21B is the one that says the NBC should just be a post office, just to collect applications and not do anything. 21C is the one that says the minister and the, Mr. President, should do the approval. So we are saying that one should be removed. The regulatory body should have the power to issue licenses. Number 2, sir, in Section 3, the board members should be properly designated as commissioners. Representatives of the State Security Service and the Ministry of Information should be excluded from membership of the board. Members of the board should be appointed by the president upon consultation with the groups that they represent and confirmation by the National Assembly. You must just have this oversight. Executive cannot be doing this alone. The appointment dates of the board members should be staggered so that they are there all the time. The membership of the board should include women, youth, and persons with disability, and ineligibility criteria for membership should be specified.
My concern here is with HB 833, which seeks to grant the National Broadcasting Commission powers to regulate competition in the broadcasting industry. These powers have already been granted to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission by virtue of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, which gives that commission the exclusive remit to deal in matters relating to competition. For instance, Section 104 of that law says that in all matters to deal with competition, the provisions of that law will override the provisions of any other law except the Constitution. So why do we want to make laws now that are already overridden by a law that has been passed by this same National Assembly? The second point I would like to talk about is about price regulation. Price regulation would be relevant in a regime where there's government subsidy, so that participants in that industry will be able to recover their expenses. Digital TV is entertainment services. And the pricing there is a very, very, very complex gamut. People who are in that industry are very, very price sensitive, because if you fix a price that is too high, subscribers will unsubscribe or not subscribe at all. Secondly, if you put a price that is too low, participants in that industry will not be able to meet their bills, they will quit or cut corners. At the end of the day, who suffers? It is the consumer that suffers, because the quality, quantity, and variety of service that is necessary will be absent.